Welcome to High Stakes. I'm your host, Tracey Devlyn. On this show, I chat with authors about the moments in their stories that change everything, what's at stake, what it costs, and why we can't look away. From thrillers to romance to sci-fi and beyond. Let's get to it. I'm here with New York Times bestselling author Jayne Ann Krentz to talk about her new paranormal romantic suspense, The Shop on Hidden Lane. Welcome to the show, Jayne.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm looking forward to it. It's my second visit. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's great to have you great to have you here. Great to see you again. It's always good to catch up and chat about your newest addition to your catalog here. So this is great.
And yours too. We are
Thank
in your other life, you are a working writer.
I am indeed. Well, in this book, it has a paranormal element, which you're known for under the Jane Castle and also a little bit with the Jayne Ann Krentz as well. And it got me to thinking about it after I finished the book, and I'm like, I wonder if Jane has ever experienced an like a paranormal phenomenon. Did that happen to you? Is that what jump started your interest in that kind of world, or just some other?
For me, the paranormal, this is where I always have to give my public service announcement because as you and I both know, that in the romance and romantic suspense genre,
Yeah,
and romantasy, paranormal has come to mean magic, witches, vampires,
vampires.
werewolves,
Yeah,
a supernatural element.
yeah.
And I don't work with that. So if that's what you're looking for is a read, no, wrong book. Um, but I love the psychic vibe because for me, it's one step beyond intuition. And I
Yes.
think everybody either has intuition or feels they have intuition. Um, and where's the line between that and
Yeah.
psychic? We don't know. And I also like to think that sometimes we dismiss things we take for granted in the world that, in a way, do have an unexplained psychic vibe, which I always use music as an example. Because when you think about it, it doesn't physically touch you. It's just sound waves. And yet it can make you exhilarated. It can make you want to dance.
Mhm.
It can depress you. It can make you cry. I mean, it has an enormous emotional control over us. Make you
Yes.
feel super patriotic, sign up for anything, kind of thing. And yet it's just sound waves that are out there. It would be easy, I think, in the past, it would be easy to say, well, there must be some kind of paranormal activity there because how is else
Yeah.
how else can it work? Um, and there's all kinds of energies out there that we've only recently defined. I mean, radio waves, that kind of thing. Um, so who knows what else? And
Well,
and
I
I
know in
really like
this.
it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. I finish
Well,
your
I was
thought.
just going to say, and it isn't just me, because the U.S. government plowed a ton of money into researching the paranormal. For all we know, they're still they're still doing it. They just can't give up on the idea of psychic vibes for spies, a psychic spy or
Yeah.
psychic weapon or something. And uh, there were a lot of money went down that hole
Yes.
in terms
Yeah.
of from the U.S. government and the Russian government and the UK government.
I was in Arizona this past spring, and near Sedona, there's the vortex,
Yeah, yeah.
which is some kind of energy thing that's there. And I could kick myself that because I had planned on going and checking it out, and then I don't know if we had a conflict or if I just skipped just left my mind or what, but I we didn't make it, and I was curious because you have a vortex in this story, and I was curious if you've ever
Well,
visited one. Yeah.
like you, Sedona.
Okay. All right.
That's about as
Okay.
close as I got. And that's just kind of famous for them, that whole area. And in fact, part of the book, most of the book is set in Arizona in the Red Rock country there because
Yeah.
it is notorious for having a certain kind of
Yeah.
feel, and people swear they can sense it when they get there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who am I to say no? Um,
Yeah.
but I do think that it makes sense that if this government were building a secret lab devoted to paranormal experiments, what better place than a vortex site?
Exactly. Exactly.
I asked
All right.
myself.
Well, we've teased a little bit about the book here. Why don't you get us started and just tell us about The Shop on Hidden Lane, which is a wonderful book. I enjoyed reading it so much.
Thank
But
you.
what can you tell us about it so that I don't give away any spoilers?
Well, first of all, I would like to say there's a dog in it. I know,
Bruce.
and there are a lot of readers out there that will read anything with a dog in it. So I just want to get
Yeah.
that up front. There is a dog in it. His name is
Yeah.
Bruce. Okay, so
Bruce is
that's my big
great. He's a
selling
great
point on the book.
character. Yeah. He's an
Yeah,
awesome character.
yeah. Oh, thanks. Um, but this is basically the story of two people who are forced to work together after four generations of family feuds, because they are bound together by a pact that was signed by their great grandfathers to protect a secret that came out of one of the old government experiments. And according to the pact, if it ever went missing, if it ever got stolen, if it ever was in jeopardy, it was up to the two families to rescue it, to solve the problem and recover the secret. So sure enough, it goes missing. And now our heroine and our hero, who are from one from each family, are stuck working together. And one of them is from the families actually were friends four generations ago, but as all feuds have a starting point, the starting point was their great grandfathers made the mistake of going into business together.
Yes.
What could go wrong, right?
Yeah.
And they've been
Money
and they've
it
been
always
feuding
comes
ever
between.
since.
Yeah.
But now Luke and Sophie are going to have to work together. And Sophie comes from a family of librarians. So she's one of my librarian heroines. I always like kick-ass librarian heroines. So,
Yes. No, she's great. She's great. Amidst all of the tension that, because this is a romantic suspense, you pepper some fun bantering between Sophie and Luke, and I love your bantering. It's something that you do really, really well.
well, thank you.
But it can be tough to get right. And I was wondering if you had any tips on how you do it. It has just come very naturally to you, or do you have to work at it?
Yeah, the thing for me is I'm a dialogue-driven writer. The story really comes alive for me when the characters start talking, regard whichever characters, the bad guys, the good guys,
Yeah.
side characters. That's kind of how the story unfolds in my head. I know other writers will say they see it like a movie, like a film or something that's I don't, unfortunately, because that would make the description easier. As it is, description
Hmm.
and narrative are really hard for me. Another time for another public service announcement, which I always
Yes.
make. If you come across a paragraph in one of my books that is full of description, I want you to slow down and read every single word because it took me a long time to get that
Blood,
on.
sweat, and tears in that paragraph, right?
But once the characters start talking, I hear the story, and that's kind of, how many of us have said the characters talk to you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
which way do you feel called? Narrative or, because you do both very well, so is it equally
Oh,
balanced?
I think like you probably dialogue comes easier to me because it's more natural to me. I have a really hard time with description too.
Oh, good.
I mean, there's certain things that you'll see every day, and it's like, what's the word for that? What do people call that type of blouse or those types of shoes or you know what I mean? Or that style of architecture? It's like you see it, you enjoy it, but maybe I don't really know what the name of it is. So yeah, description can be pretty tricky for me as well.
Okay, good to know. Um, and it is a gift either way. I mean, I don't know too many writers who got equal doses of both talents.
Yes, yeah,
But whichever one you got, you gotta learn the other one. So
absolutely. Yeah, everybody's got their strengths and their I guess their more limitations in their writing process for sure. Do you
yeah,
remember what sparked the idea for this particular story?
I think it was the vortex thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I've been sort of looking for a way to play with it, and I also wanted to do this this group, this aunt and the two young women she had raised, and the three librarians. in a way, they're my witches.
Yeah. They had that feel about it a little bit. Yeah, with their
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that's so those three women kind of came first, and then I needed a venue for them. You know how that
Hmm.
goes.
Yeah.
A way to let
Yeah.
them shine, and that meant I had to have the rest of the cast. The only surprise really was the dog.
Yeah. No, it had I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Practical Magic with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock, and that dynamic between those two, and there's an older woman in there, and I think maybe there's a couple of older women in there. Anyway, it had that kind of vibe for me. So it's funny that you said that it's kind of your witches, because
Yeah, I think
that's
the
how it
appeal of the
felt.
witch story for a lot of women, although there are male witches out there in stories too, but basically it's always been sort of a woman's story, and it's an empowerment story.
Mm,
Um, and that's always going to have a huge appeal, because witchcraft is a power, and regardless of whether it's good or bad, it's it's an empowerment story.
yeah. Well, on this show, we like to talk about the story's stakes, love, death, fate of the realm. All of those are very high stakes. But what I'd like to delve is just go a little bit deeper beneath the surface and talk about what Sophie and Luke's personal stakes are in this story, and what happens if they fail.
Well, I tend to work with two themes every time I sit down to write a book. I write a lot of different plots and stuff, but if you look under the hood, the two elements that are always there are issues of trust, because I think trust is the biggest risk we ever take, and we take it all the time, and there's no
Hmm.
way to avoid taking it, and reinvention. My characters are always in the process of reinventing themselves. And I think people who get the most out of life are doing that constantly. They're reinventing
Uh,
themselves. And that's to me, that's it's what you and I do every time we sit down to write. We're kind of
mhm,
reinventing something. And
mhm.
that element I think is has it makes for it makes for a kind of underlying tension in the story. You talk about the stakes, are they going to survive the reinvention? The it's that kind of mirrors the physical stakes with which is, are they going to get killed in the story? Is
Yeah,
are they going to survive the plot? Um,
right.
but to do that means underneath it you have to survive the reinvention. It kind of all goes together. And then the trust factor comes into play because it's a risk and you're
Hmm.
taking it without at some point it's a leap of faith. And that and those stakes are always high. Can you
Yeah.
trust this person? Not only to have your back in a bar fight, but to love you with a sense of commitment for the rest of your life.
Right, right. And these two, they had some real trust issues because of their family history, and this goes back decades, right? So there's some really ingrained mistrust between the two of them. So yeah, it was great watching them work through that.
Yeah. Well, in the sense the trust of the messed up past
Hmm.
is the easiest thing to work out because it is not their problem. The problem was 4 generations back, and they've just been holding the banner on each
Right,
side ever since. But they're not personally committed to hate.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So in a sense, that's the easiest part of the problem to solve. But the underlying problem is, can they trust each other as two human beings who are now locked in this situation where they can't trust anyone else? It's trust each other or perish. Um,
Mm.
that's the real underlying problem that they have to overcome in terms of the emotions from the past play into that, but in a sense, they're the easiest to resolve.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about the simplest part of it, but what would you say was the hardest part about just writing this story? Or did it flow? Were you in the flow, as they say, when you were writing the story?
The story actually flowed fairly well. The problem with writing suspense, and you know this when you're also balancing the relationship, is the speed.
Ah,
Be-
yeah.
because the mystery's going to unfold pretty quickly. You don't have the leisurely times in between to go to the ballroom or to to go to a picnic in the park, that kind of thing. It's there's a you're on a time frame there that's very tight. And because of that, balancing the development of the relationship in conjunction with that can be tricky. At least
Yeah.
for me. How about you? Same
Oh
thing.
yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, because you want to keep the pace going, but you also want to give the reader time to breathe a little bit too, and let that relationship develop as naturally as you can in 400 pages
Exactly.
over a
Exactly.
course of 2 days or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
It adds tension to both elements. I mean,
Mhm.
it's but it is a it's problematic to plot it out and have it feel real because that's what you're after is the feel real. And I think a lot of what you're playing on there is that two people in a foxhole, that kind of image. They really can't trust anyone else. They've got to have each other's back, and that does enhance the relationship. It's like
Hmm.
it puts it under fire. And the idea is to make them discover things about each other that it might take months on the surface in a
Right.
in a regular work environment or something, but under the stress of nearly getting killed, you're gonna learn a lot about the other person in a hurry.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that
What
sort of defines romantic suspense, don't you think, for us?
I do, yeah, yeah. We've talked a little bit about that in the past. I think about what romantic suspense is, and I think what you had mentioned there is is probably one of the defining elements of it easily. Um, So, what we could probably have a whole conversation on romantic suspense and what it is and how it's defined
We
and
should do
everything.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should actually invite a couple of our friends too and see
Hmm.
if we can sort it out within an hour or so. But
Good
I
idea.
was kind of curious, what do you hope readers take away or maybe think about long after they finish this story? Is there
Besides
anything
the
in there?
dog.
Besides the dog, besides Bruce, yeah.
Um, I think romantic suspense and romance in general, actually, is the most optimistic of all the genres.
Mm,
Yes, the mystery will get solved in the mystery, but it can be a pretty downbeat story with a lot
hmm.
of a lot of not optimistic elements. And that's hence the term noir. Um,
Yeah.
but with romance and romantic suspense, you are basically the underlying theme has got to be optimistic. There's a future,
Hmm.
and there's going to be a family of some kind in that future. I don't know. I know you've noticed because you write it, but there's a lot of found family themes in
Mm,
romantic suspense and romance these days. And
hmm.
I've seen it in your books, and I know it
Yeah.
happens in mine. Is that um, sense of community, finding a community as well as a person you can trust and love.
Yeah.
And those are really fundamentally optimistic elements and themes. And so I think they impart a kind of a lightness, to your when you close the book, I want you to feel I can do this.
Yes.
I can
Yes.
go on. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's great. I love that. Well, you've enjoyed a long and successful career. Congratulations. Not
Thank
everybody
you.
does in this business.
Yeah.
During that time, the way people read books, their taste in stories, that has changed maybe dramatically over the last 35 years or so. How have you adapted your writing to the shifting times, or have you
I haven't
is
really.
yeah.
Um, I mean, obviously the books I write now, I've got have a different overall sensibility simply because we got cell phones, we've got um plot elements that have to be
Hmm.
handled. And that's will always be one of the appeals of the historical because you don't have to.
Hmm.
fool around with,
It's
fool
locked
around with.
in.
Yeah. And as a writer, I've always been conscious of not tying myself too closely to a historical element because you are locked. Once you've done that, you're
Yeah,
kind of the book is ages rapidly. Like if you mention a president, if you mention a war, if you mention a monumental like COVID, if you go back, all of a sudden you're locked into a time frame which somebody 10 years from now might not want to read.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's kind of a an element that I think we've all had to work around.
Hmm.
But the other one I think that is there are no new genres. They just keep
Hmm.
reinventing themselves, and we're the reinventors of those genres. We control the future in that sense, or not,
Yeah.
depending on whether or not we keep writing and finding an audience. Um, but look at the power of romantasy now that's coming
I
on.
know.
Yeah. But you and I have been around long enough to recognize the elements in those stories. We've seen them
Well,
before.
absolutely. And it's so funny because you can get a buzzy word like that, and it's all of a sudden, oh, this is a new genre. And I'm like, I've been reading romantic fantasy for years. Sarah J. Maas is one of my all-time favorite novelists. And so she's been at it for a very long time. And there's even more than that. But yeah,
How about
so
rom-com?
it's
How many
oh my
types
gosh.
act like a
Chick lit.
rom-com?
Wasn't that chick lit at one time?
Yeah, before that it was new adult, and then there was yeah,
Yeah,
but the underlying story in romantasy, that kind of young woman coming of age and coming into her power is not new, and it never will
yeah,
be. It's
yeah,
it's just updated, and that's basically, I think, what writers of fiction do. They just reinvent the genres.
yeah, absolutely. So, just a couple more questions before we tidy up here. What is the best writing advice you've ever been given, I should say, or do you have some writing philosophy that you'd like to share yourself that you've learned over the years?
Probably the best writing advice is don't try to write to the trends.
Hmm.
If you can identify it, it's probably too late.
Yes.
Find your own core story and then figure out where to put it. Um, Writing to trends is probably going to get you in trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that I
absolutely.
think is valid.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you are the one setting the trend, you are at the
In which
at
case,
the
in
go
which case
for
you're
it.
probably going to have a lot of trouble selling that first book, right?
Oh, right, right. Yeah,
That's
the
the
sweet spot is right in the middle, right? You luck into the trend and it's already, yeah,
being
absolutely.
too far ahead of the wave is not a good thing. We've both been there, so we know that it can
Yeah,
roll right over you. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. I
should have
feel
seen
like
that.
I'm in that right now.
Do
So,
you?
yeah, yeah, we can talk about that some other time whenever we've got more time here.
Okay.
And then my last question is, what's one thing readers might be surprised to learn about Jayne Ann Krentz?
I'm pretty boring. Um, I don't know. I don't. Aside from the fact that I got run over by dust bunnies in my Jane Castle world, but that's a whole nother problem. Talk about a stolen writing career. That one just,
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. And they're the dust bunnies, they have claimed you and they are not letting you go.
I'm afraid to write a Jane Castle book without one now. I think they'd hurt me.
Oh, they're so much fun. Yeah, they're so much fun.
Oh, thanks.
All righty. Well, before we go, can you tease what's coming up next?
Well, funny you should mention that because the next book out in May will be Enter the Nightmare, which is a Jane Castle book with a dust bunny.
Okay, great. All right, and that's in May. All right, sounds great. Looking forward to that one for sure.
Thanks.
Well, Jane, thanks so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure to chat with you and talk about your newest edition here.
Thank you.
Folks, yeah, you bet. Folks, be sure to order your copy of The Shop on Hidden Lane today. Not only will you love the banter, you'll enjoy how Jane expertly weaves her paranormal elements in with the mystery and love story.
And the
And
dog. The
And
dog.
and I was actually getting there, and I was going to say, be sure to read the author's note at the end as well. That talks a little bit about more about Mr. Bruce. All right. Well, you can learn more about Jayne at janeannkrentz.com, or you'll also find all of her social links. That's it for today's high stakes story. Until next time, enjoy the adventure, everyone. That's it for today's high stakes story. Follow the show so the next episode lands right in your feed. And if you enjoyed today's chat, a quick rating or review helps new listeners find us. Visit tracydevlyn.com/podcast for show notes and links to today's amazing guest and their fabulous book. High Stakes is a proud member of the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. Thanks for listening. Until next time, enjoy the adventure, everyone.